too few people realize that probably only have like 5 or 10 years in your true prime to work on something that's really important.
Niki Scevak is the founder of accelerator program Startmate and co-founder of venture capital firm Blackbird, currently managing 230 million. He's also a friend, and I'm happy to have him right here.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Niki. What are you good at?
I think the best investors see what's possible in a company. Obviously, most of the time it does not work out, so most of the time they're wrong. But for the very best investors, it's that imagination to see how a company could go right and the impact it could make if everything aligns in the stars.
People tend to think that if they lower their bar of achievement, they have a higher probability to succeed. And you claim the opposite.
I think so. It's like there's a certain class of things in life where the more ambitious you are, the more outrageous you are in terms of trying to make a big impact, actually the more likely that is to become true. If you think about it, what is creating a company? And it really is attracting a great group of people to do their life's work with you, attracting the best investors in the world to invest in you at the highest valuations. And really the honeypot for both of those groups of people is a really grand mission. You know, if you're half as ambitious, you're not going to attract the best people. It's a very selfish endeavor. It's like you're considering the world through your viewpoint. If you are half as ambitious, you'll make some money. But if you're half as ambitious, then there's not a lot of money left over for employees. There's not a lot of money left over for investors. And so I think that the trap people fall into is not recognizing that anything in life is hard, and doing something small, doing something big, these are both hard things. But actually the big thing, the more audacious thing is easier from the point of view of attracting great people who will do great work for you, attracting the best investors in the world. And if there's one thing I've learnt over the course of 5 years at Blackbird or 7 at Startmate, it is the power of a great mission in increasing your odds of success, not decreasing them.
How do you look at every new opportunity with fresh eyes? You know, if you see 20 bad platform pitches or marketplace pitches, it'd be easy to think that the 21st one would have a hard time with you.
And this is so important. This is one of the most dangerous aspects of the job, is to become desensitized to each pitch that you might have even heard 20 times before. So if you think about Atlassian, it was the 100th bug tracker. If you think about Campaign Monitor, it was the 100th email service provider. If you think about BigCommerce, it was the 100th shopping cart. And so in all of these examples, unless you came to each opportunity with a fresh mind and almost a beginner's mind, you might have missed what truly mattered. And it wasn't so much the category that Atlassian was operating in, it was the sales model that they had pioneered, where the world's biggest companies would buy something like enterprise software online with a credit card. That was a very novel and strange thing for the time. And so absolutely you need to come at things with a fresh mind, and even specifically you need to come at the 21st version of an idea with a fresh mind. And there's also an incredibly powerful positive force of naivety. So I think people think of naivety as 100% bad, and there's obviously a lot of bad things about being naive. But there's a lot of good things as well. And if you look at all of these companies that were started in the technology arena, often they had these beginner's minds, these outsider viewpoints that were sort of flush full of naivety. And only because of that did they start the company, and only because of that did they build their company in a certain way. And so almost you have to avoid desensitizing your mind to what you think might be bad ideas, because you've heard 20 versions of them that were bad. And then you have to actively fill your brain with naivety, as ignoring the things that might scare you or might push you off the scent of something that's truly great. I think the powerful thing that makes the great companies is really those insights into markets or problems, and insights into why the time has come for this idea to be true in the world.
So let's be unreasonable for a second and assume that I am not a world-class founder myself. How can I become one?
People tend to separate these concepts of founder and product and idea. And I tend to think of them all as sort of like a bundle, or think about the relationships between the two. It's sort of the linkage between you and the idea is really important, because it's sort of the energy or the driving force as to why you're going to do this company for the rest of your life. So I think how do you become a great founder almost gets pulled out of you. But I think fundamentally, people think of it too much in isolation as just being a good founder or a bad founder, and that heroic story of even a good founder in a bad idea, the bad idea just wins by 100 times. And so I think people spend too little time thinking about great ideas and too little time thinking about really ambitious missions that they could spend the rest of their life on.
You spend a lot of time talking about other companies, but Blackbird, what are you building?
Yeah, look, we consider Blackbird our startup, and even I wasn't that accomplished before Blackbird, but Blackbird is 1,000 times more successful than anything I've ever done in life. And the mission of Blackbird is to find these great Australians, to invest in them really early in their life, and then for the really iconic success stories, to hopefully invest hundreds of millions of dollars into their journeys over a decade or two.
Would you be more criticized if you did not make any investments compared to if you make them and fail?
That would be the fairest way of assessing us. I think naturally people gravitate to examining failure, but in venture capital, the most important thing is that you take the risk. I think people have not succeeded in venture capital in Australia because they've failed to take enough risk. And so interestingly, there was a study of venture capital funds and their portfolios, and for the bad funds, they had a failure rate of, I think, 40-ish%. So 40% of the time, they didn't get their money back, or some amount of money that was less than what they put in. In the great funds, they failed 50% of the time. So the great funds actually failed more than the bad funds, which is counterintuitive. But really, it is about investing in those outlier stories. Again, that strange company, that unique snowflake company, rather than the 20th company that conforms to a trend of on-demand or SaaS or marketplace or whatever buzzword you might want to use. Oftentimes, if there is a trend or if there is a buzzword, it's too late. But what you really need to concentrate on is if something does succeed, that it succeeds wildly. It can't succeed moderately. It has to succeed such that even unicorn, which is $1 billion valuation, is really a starting point. And you look at the world's largest companies like Apple is an $800 billion company. You have to think that does it have a non-zero chance of that? And that's how you make the great investments.
Is it possible as a founder to think about opportunity, I guess, the same way? Because normally you have this myth of the startup grind, like you sweat blood, sweat and tears for a long time, and then maybe there's a dance at the end. But that's another thing. I mean, I know you think sort of the opposite, that the tremendously awesome companies or the successful companies show those signs almost immediately.
Almost immediately, but I would also say people think of ambition as this like chemical reaction or tick box. Do you have ambition? Some American kind of personality saying, I'm going to be a $1 billion company, right from day one, and therefore you'll be a $1 billion company. I don't think ambition is quite so like declared up front. I think ambition is basically, think of it like nutrition. Like you have to eat healthy, but you have to eat healthy every single day. And I think ambition is really how you compound your ambition every single day. So in reaction to good news, do you become more ambitious? And so I think increasing your ambition at every step, that's what creates the truly great companies. Great example is Atlassian. When Atlassian first started, the whole ambition of the company was so Mike and Scott could each make like $45,000 a year, which was more than the graduate salary of a PwC technology consultant. And so it's a laughably small ambition.
They succeeded.
They succeeded in doing that, but then they lifted their ambition at every turn. And I think similarly, the great companies, they start off very ambitious, but they even re-raise their ambition multiple times over the life of a company. And the best companies really compound that ambition rather than just leaving it as a kind of static variable up front. I also think people think of success as some sort of mystery or some sort of hidden gem, like you're sifting through the pan of rocks to look for the piece of gold, where like success just slaps you in the face. Like it literally great success, you're not interpreting anything is just immediately obvious that something is a great success. And so I think if you're sifting through the rocks looking for the gold, you're not successful, and you should change dramatically what you're doing. And unfortunately in life, most things aren't successful, and it's easy to sort of keep going on a moderate trajectory. And I always think sometimes the saddest thing in life is not failure. The saddest thing in life is sort of be trapped in the middle of unclear moderate success, where you only get statistically 80 years on the world, on the planet Earth, and how you're going to spend your time in the world. And I think too few people realize that you probably only have like 5 or 10 years in your true prime to work on something that's really important. Like, what are you spending your day on, and does it truly matter? And could there be something that mattered even more? And again, if you do that, if you keep re-raising your ambition, if you keep learning from your failure, you're almost guaranteed to succeed at some point.
If there was a Blackbird startup school, and what would be the first step?
I think just go and talk to a customer. I think the other thing is hopefully it wouldn't be a school of theory. It will be a school of practice, and it wouldn't be a school of talking about things. It will be a school of doing things. So I think the best thing that people can do is just go and talk to customers. I think people insert artificial barriers in their path to beginning a company. So they'll say, I need a technical co-founder. I'm a non-technical person. I can't possibly do a company without a technical person. Or I need to raise money to go and find and hire someone technical so that I can do my idea. So let's go and learn about how to raise capital. And I just think so many things just should be done and not talked about, and go and talk to 20 customers. So I think just the most important thing with entrepreneurship is like just do it rather than talk about doing it.
Thanks so much for your time, man.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
Thank you.